Hello friends, so this is the part 3 of Always On, right? In this part, we would be actually configuring the DNS server address. When I say DNS server address means, if you remember in step 2, in my first video or second video, we had given the static IP address to the domain controller as 10.0.0.17, right? So we need to actually update that so that, our both the VMs can talk with the domain controller. Once we do that, we would add these VMs to the domain controller, right? And then we would be adding the Active Directory. If you remember, we had created AD admin Active Directory user to both the SQL instance on Node 1 and Node 2, right? So the next configuration which we are going to do is for Node 1 and Node 2. So my both the nodes after actually implementing or installing the failover clustering feature, we had to restart. So both the nodes are restarted, and now I have logged into node 1. I will show you the configuration to be done on node 1, and similarly you can do it on node 2 also, right? So initially, first of all, let us do the configuration on node 1 for updating the DNS server address. For that, this is the server manager. On server manager, go to the local server, click on the local server, and you can see the IPv4 address. Click on the IPv4 address here. On the Ethernet card, go to the properties. You can double click and click on the properties here, right? And select Internet Protocol version TCP IP4. Go to the properties again here and click on using this DNS server address. And here you will have to give 10.0.0.17. Okay, right? This is the IP address of our domain controller. Okay, as soon as you will press OK and you will close, as we have entered DNS, it will stop actually working. So you will have to restart the machine, right? So I would restart the machine. I would add and then we would come back. Okay. Okay, so as soon as I added address, right, it stopped working. Now you cannot restart the machine from there. So what you need to do is you need to go to the Azure portal, click on your node, right, and you will have to click on restart, right? Do you want to restart SQL Node 1? Yes. And this way you will have to restart the node 1, and same thing you will have to do for node 2. Once it is restarted and once I log into it, I would continue with our video. Okay, so now my machine, node 1 is restarted and is back now. So we have already added the IPv address. Now let us add this machine to a domain controller. Okay, so again on server manager, click on the local server, click on the work group. Can you see here this work group here? Click on that work group, right? And then click on the change. Once you change this, you can see here currently it is work group, and you will have to click on domain. Now, if you remember the domain name, right? We had given the domain name windowsdc.com. Okay, as soon as you enter this domain name, we forgotten S here, so it says that nothing like this uh, is having, right? We don't have such a domain here. So click on this. As soon as you click on this, it will ask for the username password. And if you remember, you have created one Active Directory username password. You can, use that. That is AD admin, right? And the password. Once you do this, again, we need to restart the machine. It will display a message, welcome to the windows.com domain. As soon as you will click OK, it will restart. You must restart your computer to apply these changes. So we will restart again and then we will come back. Okay. Okay, so after adding the machine to the domain, right, windowsdc.com, my machine, my node 1 is up and running, and I have already, actually clicked on the Management Studio. As you know that we have created machines with SQL Server Instance and Management Studio both, right? So initially you need to log in through this Windows. This is GTN 1973. You should not log in with AD admin, otherwise you will not be able to add this user to this directory, right? To this SQL Server. So initially log in with the Windows authentication. Okay, right. See, this is an issue. We will have to again restart it machine because Windows DC GTN 973 is still not present into this machine. So we will have to log in without domain, and then we will have to add this AD admin or Windows DC 1972 73 to this machine. Okay. So let me log in, let me restart this machine and log in with without the domain controller. Okay, there is another alternative also. If you remember, while configuring VM1, we had said that, use the username and password for SQL authentication, right? So instead of again restarting the machine, what we can do is we can log in through SQL Server Authentication and use the username and password which we had provided there, and you can see we are logged into our SQL Node 1 instance, right? Now, from this here, go to the security, expand security, go to the logins and right click on logins and click on new login, okay? And then click on search first, and in locations do an entire directory. You can see here the windows.com would be present, and from there you can add AD admin, and you can say search names. Okay, so this has been added, okay, as in Windows authentication, and just click OK. So this has been now added. Okay. At the same time, for our purpose, if you forget or if you are not able to connect through this, we would also add the login of Jiten73 with Windows DC, right? So you can add this Jiten1973 and you can say check names. But still, this is SQL Node 1. We don't want SQL Node 1, but for entire directory, then do a check names. Let us Jiten 1973. Okay, check names. Okay, now I think this would get added. See, Windows DC Jiten 1973, we would add this as well. Okay, so now both the logins have been added, AD admin and Jiten 1973 also. So let us try that once again. Connect with, now we should be able to connect SQL Node 1 or with Windows authentication. This, right? Okay, guys. So we had already connected. Of course, you will be thinking, what about AD admin? Actually, the AD admin part would come, when we would actually uh, configure the always on, right? Here what is happened, AD admin and Jiten 1973 are the same, because we are being using Jiten 1973 across in with a domain controller also. This user is being there. So basically both the users would save the same purpose, but actually in production system this would not be case, and you will have to add the Azure Active Directory user, right? Because we don't go by we don't use any personal usernames for connecting, and hence we would be using AD admin from now onwards, right? Hope you have understood the steps of adding the DNS address and then connecting with the domain controller, and then adding this AD admin to the SQL instance. Okay. Do this for VM2 also, and once we this is done, you can proceed to part 4 of the videos, wherein we would be actually configuring the Windows cluster there, right? So see you in part 4. Till then, bye, take care.